Because, am I recording now? Yeah, I am. Okay, because in the event that you miss the class, I still want you to have an opportunity to at least be able to catch up. Okay. All right, any other questions? I mean, again, the first draft isn't due until March 13th. So, you know, I mean, you could start thinking about it now and even start outlining ideas of what you want to write about. But, I mean, it's not essential that we start really worrying about it at this point. Um, you know what? For now, though, let's take a look at Blackboard posts that you guys have posted, right? All right, so let me switch this up. Share screen here. Okay. So the question for this week had to do with the internet, and does it hinder people's ability to express humor or to be humorous? All right, so let's read this question actually. After reading Krotowski's What Effect Has the Internet Had on Comedy? Answer the following question or questions. It's really multiple questions. The Oulipo literary movements, which in order to answer this question, you don't even have to know what the Oulipo literary movement is, but this movement believed constraints were key to invention. What does that mean? Constraints were key to invention. Could anyone guess to what that sentence means?
Probably being forced to adapt to our situations is what causes us to create new things.
Yes, that's exactly what it means, right? So, for example, why did cavemen invent wool coats during the Ice Age?
Because they were cold.
Yeah, exactly, right? They had to be creative in order to survive. Now, I don't know, maybe this is a little exaggerated, but if you're somebody who is trying to stand out, right, in today's world, is trying to be recognized in today's world, or you just love attention, well, the internet does provide an opportunity for that. But you could also argue it could also possibly hinder your ability to express yourself. It's complicated, because back in my day, we had a thing called Facebook. Maybe you've heard of it, maybe not, but that exists. There's a thing called Facebook. And Facebook, we we thought, oh, wow. No, actually, even before Facebook, we had this other magical, mythical world called MySpace. Does anyone know what MySpace is? It's
Yes.
okay if you don't.
Yes.
I heard a yes. Yeah, no, I know everyone knows what MySpace is. Anyway, in MySpace though, what was cool about it was that you could change your page, your MySpace page, to whatever you want essentially. Like when you press on your page, you could hear, or somebody else's page, you could hear their favorite song, or they could change the background to something, and so that was seen as a form of expression. And it was a new avenue for expression. It was like a whole new frontier in many ways. And then with YouTube, people learned, oh, I could post videos more easily than on the internet, more easily than before, because now there's a whole website dedicated to just videos. But then a few years later, we get this thingy called Twitter, right? Which is now the dominant social media I don't know, app, you want to call it, social media software, whatever the proper terminology is. And at first I thought Twitter was stupid. I mean, there was a time where I thought any type of social media was stupid. The only reason why I ended up creating a Facebook is because some girl I liked told me I should make a Facebook. So I made a Facebook, right? She was my convincing. But before then, I just thought, social media was just stupid, was silly. Like, who cares? I don't care if you're, having uh, eggs for breakfast, or you're in a relationship with Bobby. I don't care. um but this thing called Twitter came out, and I thought that was really dumb. Like, how could you honestly share in just 144 characters? Like, I mean, maybe a poem, a short poem, but now it's exploded, right? It's this big thing. Anyway, let's keep reading the question. When confronted with certain parameters or obstructions, such as Twitter, an artist might think innovatively to be creative. For comedians, and anyone in general, really, the internet as a medium poses what we might call creative limitations. How does the internet pose creative limitations? In what way do the constraints of the internet inspire invention of comedic content? What unique benefits of the medium allow it to flourish in new ways? When answering these questions, blah blah blah. Okay, but you get the point. Um, and this doesn't apply to just comedy, by the way. It applies to all facets of life. For example, when you comment on a post, that comment is now there for the whole world to see. Um, so does that open up avenues? Does that close avenues? Because I imagine it could work both ways. But anyway, before we dive into a deeper wormhole, let's look at what some people had to say. Okay, Ebony has a very good post. She got a lot of good responses. Okay, the internet has allowed those near and far to develop a sense of belonging in a community through the usage of universals. Universals. Uh, okay, memes, short visuals, and photos of cats displaying incongruities have all come to be the epitome of modern web humor. Why would a cat, right? Because the article we read talks about, um what's the cat's name? Hold on, I have the article right here. Maru, the Japanese little kitty, which Maru, by the way, doesn't do anything fabulous or fantastic. All she does is jump into boxes and fit in them. And for some reason, that is fascinating to people. Anyway, epitome of modern web humor. The latter I have yet to find comical, but that could possibly be just me, Ebony. Truth is, these online communities develop an instantaneous connection through a collective consciousness of what they all seem to find funny. Yes, the internet creates communities, right? Everybody joins a certain, I don't know, Facebook fan page. That's a community. Okay, be just me. Truth is, these online communities develop an instantaneous connection through a collective unconsciousness of what they all seem to find funny. With Twitter limiting the amount of characters, TikTok allotting 15 seconds per video, and Instagram giving the longest video 60 seconds to upload, a comedian has got to be pretty creative in ways in which they'll captivate the audience in very little time. I think this usage of brevity forced comedians to hone their craft. Now we have individuals coming through with their best one-liners or best video clips in 60 seconds or less. With being able to download, upload, screenshot, re-record, forward, and retweet, to say the least, a comedian can go viral and achieve celebrity status instantaneously or instantly. Even when you're not part of the online community banter, this photo, video, or meme could be the subject of any particular individual's messages or group chat. The internet has allowed entertainers to flourish in ways they wouldn't have had access before. Immediately, and she's actually quoting Krotowski here, immediately you've got a huge audience, and not just locally, but globally. If you ask me, Vision Surf's internet concept is genius. Yeah, I mean, all this is pretty true to what to what is pretty true. It's pretty accurate, right? It does open up new doors. Being able to post something online that's funny, and then somebody else sharing it, you start something that could hypothetically be called a wire or a wildfire. And this could work in other ways too. In 111, I taught a reading called Stand Up, Get Up, Black Lives Matter Fights the Power Using Social Media. And what that is about is, the Black Lives Matter movement arguably started on Twitter with somebody sharing the hashtag Black Lives Matter, and that blew up into arguably a whole movement. So it could work in that sense too. It doesn't just work for humor, obviously. It could also work in other avenues. Also, it could have an opposite effect, however. You know, Actually, very recently, I don't know if everybody knows this show. It's relatively popular. Most people know it as the Baby Yoda show. The Mandalorian, an actress from that show, got in trouble for sharing certain posts on Twitter, and she ended up getting fired because of that. So instead of getting praise, she got the opposite. She got quote unquote canceled because of things she said on social media. But anyway, let's read a couple of comments to Ebony's post. Nicolette says, I agree with the fact that social media may be hard for some comedians due to its limitations, but there's a high reward to posting jokes online. If a comedian was successful in telling their joke in 15 seconds or under 140 characters, they would have a chance of going viral. I also share screenshots, things that comedians have posted in group chats. Comedy has changed because it might be a little harder to get a laugh out of someone, but if you are successful, there is a chance that millions of people could see it. Um, this does raise a question in my mind: is why has Twitter become like the dominant social media app? I mean, I think there are more people on Twitter than any other social media app. Maybe there's more on Facebook still, but I think Twitter really does appear to be number one right now. So why is, and yes, Twitter did actually expand their character count. It's not 144. I think it's now 244 or 240. But that's still not a lot. So why? Okay, I'm just laughing at Isabella here. Yes, I know MySpace, LOL. Anyway, and some, yeah, and okay, Echo Belmont says, because of its format, why Twitter is king. Because its format, because of its brevity, right? And what is it about brevity that Yeah, okay. Echo continues to say, it is really easy to collect your thoughts in a thread in a way that allows others to access. Okay, okay, that makes sense. I took a journalism course once, and in the journalism course, they said the professor said, convince me guys to start a Twitter account because one of my other classes also talking about Twitter a lot. I mean, Isabella, you're not really missing anything, to be honest with you. It's just like any other social media account, except the posts are shorter. But anyway, um, as I was saying, you're doing yourself a favor. In journalism, they said when you write an article, it's not like writing any other essay. You have to get to the point. You got to get to the point. You have to get right to the point of what that particular article is about. Why? Because people want their news instantaneously. They want their news immediately and quickly. And so I think that's why Twitter is so attractive, is because you don't have to go through a lot of clutter to get to the point of what somebody is saying. And I think it works. I think a joke is more clever if you could get to the punchline faster rather than setting everything up like this big long story. You could bore the audience, right? People have short attention spans. Yep. People have short attention spans. And, I notice it even when I'm teaching. If I'm going on and on and on, I see students dozing off. I see students falling asleep, looking at their phones, So brevity is important. Okay, Eric says, actually, in the chat room, Twitter is probably the most popular due to a combination of celebrity activity in the early 2010s and the fact that users don't have to post a video or photo of themselves to share their thoughts. That also leads to the question, though, why back in my day, we had a thing called Vine. Now this other thingy has come along called TikTok, which is the same thing. It's exactly the same. Yeah, I liked Vine too. I don't know. Rest in peace, Vine. I know. I mean, I don't get it. TikTok is pretending like it's this whole new original content, original thing. Meanwhile, all it is just ripping off Vine. Anyway, you have short videos on TikTok, and now TikTok's exploding apparently. And then there's also Instagram, which is mostly just images, right? I think you could post videos as well, obviously, but I know when Instagram first became trendy, it was mostly just images. Why would images be more attractive, let's say, than words?
Professor, for me as a more visual person, I
Mhm.
prefer images over words because I just don't like reading. So when I'm looking at a picture,
Hate to break it to you.
to me, it explains a lot more because I can be more creative of what I'm looking at than reading something, unless it's like 4 words, like a caption,
Yeah.
but I prefer looking at a photo. It's kind of self-explanatory looking at a photo. If someone posts like where they're at a location like the beach, oh, you assume that, okay, this person's living life, they're at the beach. It's simpler than reading something.
Sure. Yeah, it's more visually stimulating to our brains, obviously, right? if it's an image. And I think images also have more impact sometimes than words, right? Like that famous picture of, I'm sure we're all familiar with this image. Maybe I'll show it to you, maybe not. But there's this image of a Tiananmen Square and that army tank, about to run over somebody, but he's holding his hand out to like try to stop the tank. That's a powerful image. And I'm sure that image is more powerful, again, as an image rather than just me poorly describing it to you, right? And you don't need any words to capture the moment. And so I guess that's why Instagram is so much more, it's very attractive to a lot of people. Let me see. Let me try to pull up that image to see what people's reaction will be. No, I'm not spelling it correctly. Tiananmen Square of protests. Maybe that's the one. Images. Yeah, this guy, right? You see that image? That's a powerful image, right? Now I know Instagram, that's not the intention of Instagram, but the point is, this image is more powerful than just saying, oh yes, there were army tanks about to run over some dude, right? And I think that's the effect that that Instagram has, is that you could just see the image and you're like, you instantly get a reaction just from the image. And I think also that's why short, quick videos is also attractive to people, because the joke is instantaneous. Like, boom, it's there. It's like, instant information going into your brain. And when do we mostly go on social media? Like, when do we most often go on our Twitter app? Usually in between jobs, right? Or even right before we go to bed. I have a habit of doing that, right? Or when you wake up in the morning, first thing people do is check their social media pages. They don't want to read an essay when they wake up in the morning. So they don't want to think too much, right? If somebody could do the thinking for us, and that's just easier. But anyway, let's keep going. Oh yeah, and the thing with cat memes, right? Eric asks, I appreciate how you connect the cat meme to the incongruity theory. You make a great point mentioning group chats, where content creators might only have a certain number of likes on an app. They might have more viewers due to the distribution of their content in this way. Yeah, why would, and this is an interesting question to ask, why would seeing a cat crawl into a box be so, I don't know, enjoyable? I'm going to try something. I'm trying a lot of things. Okay. Hold on. Let me, this is YouTube.
I actually don't know what cat you're talking about. I've never watched a cat crawl in a box. It'll be something new for me today.
Okay. All right. Well, Maru Cat. I mean, okay. This page has 793,000 subscribers. I don't know if that's as much as, let's say, Lady Gaga, but that's still a lot, It's almost 1 million people love this little cat. But what's it doing here? It looks like it's just eating yogurt. Who cares? It's just, why does that matter? All right. But let's all watch
How
this.
great is it that we get to tell everybody how Liberty
First, we
Mutual
got to go
customizes
through an
your car insurance,
advertisement,
so
which
you
is
only pay for what
annoying.
you need.
All right, shut up. Okay. Many too small boxes. This is an experiment film about, okay, whatever. Bad English. So that, I guess, is kind of humorous in of itself. And there's a cat.
It's 1:30.
All right, everybody. That was a minute of your life watching a cat not being able to fit into a small box. That's a minute of your lives well spent. Good job, everyone. Anyway, that video has 16 million views. That means 16 million 1 minutes have been wasted watching that video.
I agree. I didn't find it too fascinating, but the cat was
No.
cute.
No, but why would people do that? Why would people waste a minute of their lives? I mean, yes, Isabella does accurately point out that the cat is cute. I would agree. It is very cute. But there's a lot of cute cats out there. Why this one? Does anyone know?
That likes to sit in boxes.
Well, Michael writes in the little chat room we have over here, it's funny watching an animal not be able to fit in a box. I guess so, right? Maybe it's the incongruity theory. Maybe it's a superiority theory because we know we're not as dumb as that little cat, even though people get stuck in places all the time. It makes me feel superior because I'll know if I fit in a box. That's what.
It's funnier watching a kid, a baby, trying to fit into something than a cat. For me,
For you, right? Well, both is funny, I guess, to some people, right? I mean, because us humans, we try to fit in things we can't fit in all the time, you know. But I guess seeing somebody else not being able to fit in something is funny, and because it's a cat, is also adorable. But if it was a 300-pound man trying to do the same thing, I don't know. Maybe it's just as funny because of the superiority theory, or not. Maybe it's just sad. I don't know. But that video has 1 million views, 16 million views. I mean, do 16 million people even live in New York City? I don't even know. I think it's like 8 million, or I don't know. That's funny. If you find that video, please share. But anyway, still, you know, that cat is more famous than everyone here. And all it's doing is trying to fit into a small box. And that's the power of the internet. Without the internet, that cat is just another cat. You know, no one knows who that cat is. I mean, maybe the poor grammar saying small box, big box also helps. Maybe the fact that it's from Japan adds a sense of, like, I don't know, silly Japanese culture to the whole thing also. But it's, you know, one of the great mysteries of the world, right? And yet everyone, we've all could understand why people do find some kind of enjoyment out of it. Okay, enough about the Japanese kitty. Let's see another post. All right. Okay, that was Ebony. Let's see who else. Oh, what's happening? Okay, there we go. Nicolette. And I actually like the comments section on this post. I like comments that ask questions, honestly. Not that you have to write a question, but I do like when people try to like interact with the original person who published the post itself, because again, that could potentially create discussion. Anyway, Nicolette says the internet might pose creative limitations for comedians for many reasons. One reason is there are creative limitations because you do not really get to connect with your audience the same. This sentence is possibly true, right? It could also be, like if you write something on social media that's a little bit controversial, you might get a lot of laughs because of the controversial nature of it, or you might piss off a lot of people. And I guess that's an example of not connecting. Well, I think what she's saying is that the internet creates a type of humor that's not the same as saying like a joke in person. But anyway, during comedy shows, comedians like to pick on people in the audience and tell jokes about them. When you post online, you have to tell the joke first and interact with those who have commented later. Yeah, so it is instantaneous, but not quite as instantaneous as saying a joke in person, I guess. Another reason comedians have creative limitations is because people do not want to spend too much time reading online. They want to stare at a post for 1 second and swipe to the next. Yeah, I mean, I think this is how Instagram works. You could just literally swipe your phone to the next image and then double tap, I think, to like it, and just continue. Anyway, or is that something else I'm confusing it with? But I think that's Instagram. Okay, another reason comedians have creative limitations is because people do not want to spend too much time reading online, right? They want to stare at I read that already, sorry. This is why popular memes are usually one line or photos. I believe when social media was first becoming popular, a lot of people were able to get away with writing lengthy jokes on Tumblr. See, that's another one. But we have moved on from that and write shorter jokes because of Twitter. So it's like Twitter is impacting our humor as opposed to us changing our humor for Twitter. Interesting. On page 117, it says the attention span of the online audience is incredibly short. If we haven't got you in the first 10 seconds, we probably lost you. Yes, and that's true. Actually, a few times, even on Facebook, I would see like a whole essay be posted, and after just a few sentences, I'm like, I'm not reading this. I don't care. I don't care if this is a genius post. I'm not reading this. Okay. Okay. And I agree that because of people's short attention spans, comedies aren't able to follow the same structure they usually do when it comes to jokes. They can't give a whole backstory to build up a joke. They just need to get to the point, which can be difficult for some comedians, and it could be difficult for just people in general. Anyway, on the other hand, social media has been around for so long, and comedians have already adjusted and have found new techniques to creating comedic content. While talking about Twitter, one comedian responded, "It helped me hone my one-liners." Now, Antonio actually asks Nicolette a question. Do you think society has become better at humor because of the internet? Can we make people laugh within a 10-second video? I wonder if it's either our humor worsening or we've become better at it. What do you think? That's an interesting question, because is it possible to actually be worse at humor or better at humor, right? Is it something that could be measured in that way? Like, oh, that is legitimately a funny joke, or is it not a funny joke? Um, are is our humor, like general humor as a society, is it unhealthy or is it more healthy? Right? I mean, it's only an interesting question because it's almost like as if we're quantifying humor and comparing it to humor from past generations and arguing, well, were people just more funny then than they are now? I don't know. I mean, it's kind of hard for me to phrase that question, but I think, I mean, does people know what I'm trying to say? No.
That there isn't really a way to gauge humor, like there isn't a good way to measure it. I'm having a hard time wording it also.
Yeah. Yeah. It's like how could humor worsen, right?
Oh, like maybe it's like in the eye of the beholder, kind of.
Sure. Because you could ask the same question about, let's say, music, right? You know how everyone older than most of you guys says, oh, early 2000s hip hop is better than today's hip hop, or, I don't know, 80s dance music is better than 90s dance music, and then vice versa, right? How could we, it's based on our perspective, right? What we grew up with, that impacts our tastes and what we enjoy more. I mean, some people are obviously different, right? I know a lot of people who prefer music from the 60s and 70s and 80s over today's music, right? But they were born in this generation. Um, but like, I mean, and I think it also could apply to health in many ways, because people have made the connections between being healthy and having a sense of humor at the same time, right? That there is a correlation between the two. And when you laugh, you obviously have positive emotions. You feel a little bit better about yourself in the moment. Um, and I don't know, it's a weird question to ask, actually, and to even think about. In what ways could humor be worse today than it was before social media, right? Maybe humor back in the day required more intelligence. It forced you to use your brain more in order to get the joke. But today, because so much of humor is based on social media, you don't have to think as much, is more instantaneous. And so somehow, as a society, we've become even more lazy because of social media and how it delivers us not just information, but even jokes faster. I don't know.
Professor,
Yes.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I had like a connection problem and it
Okay.
didn't let me join until now.
All right, that's fine.
And I have one. So do I get like marked absent or?
No, 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 no.
And I have one question.
Sure.
The essay draft, the first draft, was it due today?
No, no.
Oh,
March
okay.
13th.
All right. Thank you, Professor.
All right, no problem. And anyway, questions, concerns for anyone else? Just, save it towards the end. I will provide an opportunity to ask me questions. But anyway, yeah, I mean, could humor be measured, right? Is there any quantifiable ability to measure humor or to measure creativity, right? Like, are people more creative today than they were in the past? Maybe they are, maybe they're not. Is the fear of being, because there's also a fear of, like, let's say posting a YouTube video, right? Let's say you post a YouTube video, but you get a lot of dislikes or a lot of people say negative things about your video. I think because of that, there is potential for creative hesitation, right? People might be afraid to express themselves due to negative feedback from online trolls, people hiding behind their computers. And as a means to get attention, they'll just say a really mean thing. And so maybe, or cancel culture, right? If we want to believe that cancel culture is an actual thing, then there is that fear as well, that I'm going to be censored on social media. Or, right, social media will be able to express ourselves in ways we've never expressed ourselves before, because it's on the internet for the whole world to see. So a couple of things to think about. Okay, Eric actually says maybe fame could be a way people might measure if a creative form is good or not. Maybe, right? Fame is the measurement, is the tool that we use. But yeah, but I know in the world of, like, I don't know, music, like, you could hear a really talented artist on YouTube, let's say, and that artist only has 1,000 views. Meanwhile, some, teeny bopper, Justin Bieber, not that I'm hating on Justin Bieber, but his videos will get 100 million views. And do we say that Justin Bieber is better than Mozart because Justin Bieber maybe is more popular than Mozart? I don't know. That's something to think about. Okay. Hold on. Just trying to get, whoever is here, trying to just mark them down for attendance. Okay, so
I think humor is kind of like a personal preference. There's no good or bad to it. It's what you enjoy. Like, for instance, I didn't really enjoy that cat video. And, like we said, 700 odd people, 700 some thousand odd people like it. And I'm just not the fan for it.
yes,
Personal preference.
Right. It's a personal preference, of course. So yeah, I mean, it's everything in life. The truth is that it all comes down to personal preference. That's the truth. However, people will try to act as if, and you hear this all the time. Your parents might say, when I was your age, I was already married and had 2 kids and blah, 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 and blah, blah, blah. There's something wrong with this generation. Right? Is it just, is there quote unquote, is this generation, there's something, wrong with this generation's sense of humor? Or is it just evolving and changing with the times? I would say the latter, of course. Okay, Antonio. No matter where you go on the internet, there will always be creative limitations. Think about it. All memes displayed on Instagram, Facebook, Twitter, there is a limit to what you can post or write. Instagram videos only allow a minute video. Twitter, 100, YouTube only allows content which they deem presentable, right? This, on YouTube, there is this movement to take off content they think is offensive, is now, I'm not going to go into the debate of freedom of speech. That's a separate debate, but it is YouTube, though, limiting what you could post on its platform could arguably a limitation of creative content. Instagram videos only allow a minute video. Yeah, okay. Our creativeness is bound by those confines. So according to Antonio, the internet is defying creativity. Maybe that's true, especially in this age, right? The age of the internet that we're all in. And though we are limited on what we can post or say, we've adapted so well. People hardly give it a second thought. Nowadays, people express their comedic content through TikTok, through short stories. People manage to inspire new types of comedy, right? Storytelling, relatable moments, role playing. TikTok and apps like it completely changed the way society creates humor. Some of the benefits that arise by these platforms are faster connections with people, shorter ways to make people laugh, and endless content posted by people all around the world. Faster connections from platforms allow people to respond to comedic content, short videos, or images that make people laugh, and a user base that posts comedic content on the daily. Yeah, I mean, somebody in New York and somebody in, I don't know, India could all get the same posts at the same time and see the same posts at the same time. It's something that, for most of human history was not possible. I mean, think about it. Before the invention of the television, it was impossible to relay images that quickly, and so for most of human civilization, we were not able to communicate literally across planets that fast. But today, you don't even have to turn on a TV anymore, and you're able to send a message from one part of the globe to the other in a snap of a finger, right? And that is the interesting thing about this particular generation. The past, I don't know, when was the TV invented? Does anyone know? Or when was radio invented? Does anyone know? I'll look it up, because this doesn't just relate to social media. Social media, obviously, it's a new evolution in the information age we live in. It's the next step, but the concept of communicating instantaneously with people throughout the globe is still a relatively new concept, that's just changing everything.
1895, according to Google, was when radio was invented.
1895, right? which was, now I'm not great at math. Who's good at math here? What's 2021 minus 1895?
126.
126. And how long has humans been able to walk on the planet and build fires? I don't know, like what, 200,000 years, something like that, right? Scientifically speaking, we've been around for like what, 200,000 years, something like that. The point is, for only 190, let's say we've been around for 200,000 years, right? I don't know if that's the exact number that we've been around, but what's 190? Wait, how long has it been? 180 something years?
Oh, 126.
126, 200,000. What's the percentage of time that human society has had the radio? Right? Like out of 200,000, how much does 126 make up of that? Let me try it. Let me try to do it on my calculator. 126 divided by 200,000. That is, according to my phone calculator, 6.00063% of human existence. We've been able to communicate with each other instantaneously. And obviously, social media is an even smaller percentage of time, right? So I don't know. Maybe some people are just wowed by that fact. Maybe not. But it's crazy to think about. And yes, the focus is humor, but it's about information in general, right? And so thinking about, like, before the invention of the radio, you had to wait. You had to wait for a telegram, for a letter, for the mail to show up in order to get your information about something happening to, let's say, family members in a different country, right? Now we learn about it in the moment. How has that impacted the world? Has it made the world a better place, brought us closer together? Has it actually somehow further divided us? I don't know. Maybe I'm being too deep here. I'm walking in a weird rabbit hole. But still, this little topic about humor and how it's impacting culture today, and how humor is expressed today applies to so many other things. There's also this fear that that delivering information in this generation is actually too fast, right? Like there's this anxiety that, for example, the example that I used before of the supposed origins of the Black Lives Matter movement started with a social media hashtag Black Lives Matter. People think that perhaps creating movements is too easy. That before, when the civil rights movement in the 1960s and even before that was first started building up and ramping up, people needed to use certain radio stations and code words to communicate with each other. You had to call, let's say, a specific hotline to say, hey, this a black man is being racially abused by a police officer. Now today, you could just literally film the event happening, and you could just share it instantaneously. And so while that's good that you could share it instantaneously, at the same time, people fear that it's almost too fast, that information is spreading too quickly, and that could create hysteria. So I don't know. It's still something to think about. It's an essay topic, potential essay topic. And
Fessler,
yes,
just my comment on it.
sure.
I think for now, like today, because
Yeah.
of media,
Uh-huh.
people lack the sense of help. You know, when even for me, like if I see something wrong going on in the middle of the street, say somebody's fighting, my
Right.
first initial reaction is, hey, let's record it so I can share with my friends.
Mm,
Instead of calling for help
mm,
or helping,
mm.
and I mean, I'm guilty for that too, but I do feel that, because of how we want to, I don't know how to word it, like how we want to share stuff instantly. Like we're so um into sharing instantly that we forget that your initial thought is to help, not record. And I've seen it in the mall myself where a fire bell rings off and people are trying to record where the fire is happening instead of, taking off and leaving the building.
It's
But yeah,
2 o'clock.
Sorry about that.
that
Anyway,
that is a very interesting topic to proceed on, if social media or internet has a positive or a negative to society today.
I guess one of the symptoms of social media, right? One of the drawbacks is that it has, like, first of all, social media, like Facebook, is designed to be addictive. It's designed for you to not want to leave the page. But now we are also addicted to the attention, and the addiction for some people, not everybody, but for some people, that addiction to attention and the positive vibes we get from that attention has caused us to forget about other responsibilities that we have as people, that we care more about other people's attention rather than providing attention to other people who might be in need, right? Like, as you said with your example, people might film the fight first and then go and help, or film the fight and just share it online and maybe not doing anything at all. You know, that's obviously dangerous. I've heard stories, actually. I don't know how many of these stories are true, but I've heard stories of people climbing on top of buildings to get a selfie, and dangling from a rope just for that perfect selfie. And a lot of these people end up falling and dying. First of all, even if they didn't fall and die, I still think that's crazy, right? Like, how desperate are we as people that we need to risk our lives just to get a few likes, right? But then obviously somebody falling and dying means that they died in the name of attention, right? Oh wow, somebody George actually writes, my student from a classmate in Russia actually apparently died that way. So I mean, these are very rare instances. I don't think it's commonplace that hundreds of people are dying every day because of selfies. But still, the fact that somebody out there in the world died one day because of a selfie, it means that we're so addicted to attention that we put our other responsibilities ahead of just that desire for social media, for attention on social media.
Professor.
Yes.
So honestly, what I think is like the two main forms of humor today are either sarcasm or offensive jokes.
Okay.
honestly. And
Yeah.
that's all you can find online on most forums, platforms, or anything.
Yep.
With like technology getting better and growing every day,
Hmm.
obviously more people are getting addicted to their cell phones, selfies, and all of those.
Hmm.
So, I mean, I do find it like crazy that someone would lose their life over a selfie, but I
Hmm.
do not find it shocking if that makes sense.
Yeah, and yeah, it's not shocking because we see how addicted people already are, right? Like people will like think about it. What inkling would there be for somebody to write to shit post, right? Do we know what that is? Right? Is saying something negative about somebody else's post just really to get attention. Why would somebody go out of their way to be mean to somebody just for likes? That just shows how addicted people are. So I guess the next step is to do something worth risking your life to get that attention. So it's not surprising at all that this is happening, but it's still ridiculous that it's happening, right? Do we get what I'm trying to say? Right? That me and was it Bajorn? Right? Am I pronouncing your name correctly? But yeah, anyway. Yeah, it's just that's the world now. People are risking their lives, for posts on social media. And it's not surprising, but it's still crazy, right? Okay. So I think I'm gonna move on to another topic. Other people did post, if you have an opportunity, read their posts as well, comment on their posts, like and subscribe to their pages. I'm kidding. And
That was a good one.
yeah, I don't know. That's how like every YouTube video actually sounds like these days. Like, subscribe, and donate to my Patreon. Anyway, um, does anyone have anything else to say? Like comments on this discussion, because these are good essay topics. So if you have a light bulb in your head that you want to share with everyone else, to the class, then by all means, it's welcomed. If
I do
not,
want
then I'm sorry. Yes.
to, pardon me, Professor.
Okay.
I do want to say something on a more serious note,
Okay.
about this. I think we're all. Oh, sorry, give me 1 second. I think we're all being too hard on ourselves because it's just anytime. Wait, do you hear that extra sound in the background?
No.
No, okay, great. All right, so basically, what I'm trying to say is, I think we're all being too hard on ourselves because whenever we do something, right? Whenever we get this chemical reaction in our heads, that's a good thing. You see, that's a chemical advantage to help
Sure.
to help us go about our day, to help us do our things, right? So, like whether a comment can be negative and whether a comment is a comment by the end of the day. What a lot of people lack nowadays is thick skin,
That's true.
So yes, so a comment is a comment, that a thought is a thought, things are just the way things are, okay? But what we need to understand is this: we have this chemical advantage. Anytime we say something to somebody and they agree with us, oh yes, 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 or they don't agree with us, whatever, you get just from that communication alone, just from him responding to you or that person responding to you is a good thing. It's like gives you chemical advantages. It makes you feel human. It makes you say, okay, everything's okay. I'm okay. I'm alive. I'm real. This is real. We're people. We're supposed to. Wow, where does the idea of Rhapsody comes from, right? There's a person standing in the middle of a place yelling at people ideas and philosophy and comedy and whatever. You understand? Same concept. Not everybody has voice. Everybody has something they want to say. They want and the issue is everything is misinterpreted all the time. All the time. Things aren't, because people can be racist, people can be prejudiced, people can have bad ideas, and even people that still they say that they're not racist or they're not prejudiced, They are. They may be subconsciously, but they don't realize it because even me, like I'm from Russia, and sometimes a Russian person cuts me up. I'm like, fuck that Russian motherfucker, right? It's okay. It's fine. It happens. I'm racist against my own kind all the time. You understand? But
Yep.
here's the deal, right? Here's the deal. It's a chemical advantage. At that moment, I felt tough. At that moment, I felt better than him, right? But that's a chemical advantage. It's a good thing. We all need to have it at one point or another. You need to be able to be a man. You need to be able to be a woman, to have your chemical advantages. Say what you want to say, whatever. Let that garbage be the garbage that it is. Let's embrace it. Why do we have to hate it? Do you know how many people use Instagram? 1 billion. Do you know how many Americans live in America? Not even 1 billion. What 500 million? What, nothing. So that's every human mother and child have probably Instagram. Think about this for 1 second.
No, you're not wrong.
This
You're
is not
wrong.
this is a but what I'm saying is I've never in my life thought it would come to this where 3 English classes in a row I will be hearing about Instagram, man, and social media. This is very annoying to me because this is such a minuscule thing. It's such a minuscule thing, and people have no thick skin. People they tear like paper and blow up. And that's another thing I want to say on a serious note. Also, just want to say, and that's it. I'll stop talking. I'm sorry. Not a good day today, but people react so suddenly to problems that are 10 miles ahead of them. People deal with your problems right when it's right in front of you. Don't deal with your problems. Don't start reacting when when that person or a comment is at 10,000 miles away from you. It's nothing. It's nobody.
It's nobody.
It's nothing. It's a cat in a box, buddy. That's okay. But that's it. That's it. I want everybody to feel happy that we even have social media. Did you forget how many people were arrested by ISIS soldiers and how many people were saved because of Twitter? What? Did we forget about this? Did we forget about the times how many people stopped school shootings because of Facebook? Did we forget this? Yeah, we forget because we know what Americans are very good at? Forgetting everything. That's why it's a culture. It's a culture thing. In my culture, in the Russian culture, we never forget about World War II. We never forget about all the things we've been through. We keep our heritage close to us. It's in our culture. America, no. We forget every school shooting. We forget everything. You know, it seems so preposterous to me that it had to happen 365 times. Right? That's like a school shooting a day, right? That's crazy. Like, could that have been because of social media? Who cares? That's just people with thin skin. Don't be thin-skinned human. Be thick-skinned, please, people.
All right. So
sorry.
It's okay. George's thesis of the day: don't have thin skin. All right. No, I mean, listen. I'm just trying to present both sides. You know, on one hand, yes, social media is not a terrible thing. Of course, it's a good thing, right? It helps create bonds. It helps create communities. It helps bring people together. You know, I mean, it's a good thing. It's a good thing. But just like anything in life, we have to also consider the negative consequences as well.
Wait, but from this whole like discussion and everything, like discussion board and everything, like it never came across as the social media being bad or anything. Like honestly, the point of it was that it's changed and shaped the way of culture and I mean changed and shaped the way of comedy. And yeah, I mean the bad part of it is that because there's definitely bad parts and good parts to everything. The bad part of this is that it's becoming more and more addicting, but it's definitely something that helps us connect more and grow as people, I think.
Yeah, I mean my whole point, and it's a point that I think you know, I think we should consider is that it is changing our culture and it's also impacting our behavior. You know, it's impacting our behavior and it's impacting our culture in just the way we communicate and express with each other, you know. And so we can raise the question, you know, why are people so addicted to attention? Or how has social media brought us together? Because I do think you can make the argument that it's actually created, in many ways, it's created more factions of people in some ways, or not. Maybe there is less divide than ever before, because as I was just saying, you could send the same message to somebody on the other side of the globe in a millisecond, which is something we've never been able to do before. And so communities are being created that for a long time in human history, we didn't think was possible, right? You know, I mean, it's one of the great inventions of history. You know, so all these little factors is just something to think about. And I hate to say it, but next week we're still going to be talking about social media.
It's okay.
You know, sorry, that's just how I designed the course.
No, pardon me. I didn't
Yeah.
mean anything I said before. Sorry.
No, I mean,
I
you
was
didn't
very
say
mean, I'm
anything
sorry.
bad or anything I disagree with, anything wrong.
No, it's perfectly fine if you do or you don't, but I'm just saying I'm sorry about my tonality and everything. I was way out of line. Sorry.
No, you're passionate about it, and passion's good. You
Thank you.
know, yeah, passion's good. And I like to hear passion in my students. But you know, anyway, the reason why I like the topic of social media is because, as you actually did point out, we all use it. We all use it, even if we hate it, right? I see posts all the time. Oh, Twitter sucks. Meanwhile, that post was on Twitter. So, you know, like maybe it sucks, but we all have it, right? As you said, we all have it. And it's also impacting work life and student life. I had a professor once that made us actually create a Twitter account for an assignment. So now it's becoming a part of almost everyday life. It's not just something we do for fun. You know, so that's even crazy to think about. It's just now being part of what it means to be human to a degree. Okay, anyway, I'm going to move on now. Thank you, everyone. But I'm going to move on to my next topic, which is research. Research. Now, that's something to rant about, to be honest with you, because research can be a pain in the butt, or it could be fascinating. All right. So now, thinking about research, because your first essay will require three sources of outside information. So determining what is good research, what is bad research is a skill, right? Because it's easy sometimes to mistake, let's say, a blog post written by Joe Schmo somewhere who knows nothing about the topic as a legitimate essay, as a legitimate article. And I, as a student, I made this mistake myself. I would be reading something and thinking that this is a legitimate news source. Meanwhile, it's just lies. It's just spam. So what I like to do is, in order to do research, I like to look up peer-reviewed articles. What does that mean? Does anyone know what that means, peer-reviewed?
It was read by other professionals.
It was read and approved by other professionals, right? It wasn't just something posted on the internet one day that nobody's read before. A committee of people gave the thumbs up, right? So what you can use Google to do this. You can. So for example, I type in theories of humor on Google, right? Now, the first thing that comes up is Wikipedia, right? And Wikipedia is actually a wonderful resource to get information. And you've probably heard this before, but I'm going to say it again. I don't recommend using Wikipedia for anything you do academic related. Why not? Does anyone know?
I believe Wikipedia is post from others.
It's not a post. Well, it is a post from others. You know, I could create a Wikipedia account and write an article about a volcano underneath Staten Island. I could do that. And there actually once was a Wikipedia article about that topic, that according to this person, there was a volcano underneath Staten Island, actually specifically underneath Petrides High School. But, you know, why wouldn't I recommend that article for educational purposes? You know, if you were writing an article about the history of Petrides High School, why wouldn't you use the volcano article? Anyone? No one? I mean, okay, this is a even
Just like the general community can modify it.
the general okay, yeah, yes, the general community can modify it, yes. But anyway, back to my question. Is there a volcano underneath Petrides High School? Yes or no? Well, who did anyone here? How many people here live on Staten Island?
I do.
Only one
I just
person?
moved here. I know there are dinosaur bones in Staten Island.
Yes, but is there a volcano?
I don't think so.
The answer is no. The answer is no. There is no volcanoes. So what does that mean? Volcano under Staten Island. If you see that article, what does that mean? Come on, if you know it, just say it.
There
That
might
means
be a
the article's
volcano under Staten
bullshit.
Island.
Yes, that means the article's bullshit and you shouldn't believe it. Even if it sounds real, even if it sounds like it's a legitimate article and it's written well and it has, you know, facts and proof and all that, it's still lies, right? And on the internet, you can find a lot of lies, right? It's easy to post lies on the internet. Back in the old days, though, you had to go to the library to do research. Today, you just go on the internet. But again, there's that problem. What is real? What is not? So, you know, this Wikipedia article called Theories of Humor, it looks legitimate. It looks like it's a good source. It probably is a good source. But it may not be, just for the mere fact that it's on Wikipedia, right? And it actually does have these little links here for sources, which is good, but I'd rather you just go to the link rather than just rely on the Wikipedia page, right? I'd rather you use this website than Wikipedia itself. Okay, hold on. So, and right here, this is a blog post, roxanaeldon.com, right? That's a blog post. It looks actually legitimate. It looks like a well-written blog, but it's still a blog at the end of the day. Roxana Neldon may not be an expert on this subject. And this article was not pre-approved, or it might have been pre-approved, but we don't know. We have no idea. And because of that, you know, mystery as to whether this article about theories of humor, whether it's pre-approved or not, we don't know, because it's a blog post, right? So the best way to determine whether something's legitimate or not is you use, this is CSI.com, CSI's website, which is free for everyone. CSI.cuny.edu, right? We got that? We all see that? Say yes, just say it. I know you see it, but just say
Yes,
it anyway.
yes.
Yeah. Okay, all right. All right, and then what we do is we scroll all the way on the bottom and see this magical word right here. That's called library. That is a very magical word, especially if you want to get an A in this course. You press that link and it leads you to CSI's online library. Now, as we all know, CSI does have a physical library, but it also has this online library. And this library will be your best friend because I don't think you can actually, are students even allowed on campus? I'm not even sure. But when I was a student, I never used CSI's actual library to do research anyway. But still, here you can look up books and articles. And then there's one search that could search for books and articles in one search even more quickly. And so you would press one search. And here is a subject bar, search anything. And I would type in theories of humor, press enter, right? And you get a bunch of things relating to theories of humor. You get a peer-reviewed article, you get a whole book. What else? You might even get some other things like videos, etc. Now, in order to make sure what you're getting is a peer-reviewed article, you can what's the word I'm looking for? Filter out what you look up. You check peer-reviewed journals, and then what you get is they're all and then you press enter, of course. Hold on. And oh, you log in with your student CIX account, by the way. Right, and here you get like superiority in humor theory, and look, you see that little tab, peer reviewed. And you can download the article as a PDF. You could download the link to the article. Hold on, let me try. I thought I was signed in already, but give me a second to sign in because I think it's saying that I'm not signed in. All right. Mhm. Ah, it's making me sign in again. Oh, and I could use my email username. Right, okay, and here, sometimes it links you to a search host called EBSCOhost. Sometimes it'll link you to JSTOR or another one, right? There are multiple search engines, multiple databases for peer-reviewed journals. Right, I would download this as a PDF for my own convenience. And there's the whole article. And you could read the whole article. And, the only thing annoying about this is that some of these articles are a little long, and because they're academic articles, the language might also be complicated. However, the best research you're going to get are from these articles, and I think, I think next week, and next week we're going to talk about MLA format in even more detail. But that's just one little way on how to do research, is by using academic articles, peer-reviewed articles, rather than just any random article found on the internet. Again, you know, sometimes there's wonderful information on the internet, sometimes, but other times it could be wrong, it could be misleading. You know, we don't know why people would want to mislead others, but they do. And so in order to figure out what's useful information and what's not, obviously is very important when it comes to writing a research essay. Okay. I think that's been about 2 hours. Does anyone have any questions? Any questions or concerns that I haven't addressed yet?
I'm okay.
Okay, Erica's okay. Who else? Who else is okay?
I'm good.
I'm okay.
Anthony, okay. So yeah, next week we're gonna go over research again. I think we're gonna spend even more time. In fact, I'm debating of giving you guys an activity to do, a little simple activity. But you know, watch out
It's
for that.
2:30.
Watch out for that. You know, I might make you do an activity that requires you to do some kind of research as a way of practicing and preparing you for your essay. And yeah, the concern regarding the sample essay that I posted, I'll also figure that out as well. But if we don't have any questions or concerns, then you can, of course, you can email me. You can see me during my office hour. And yeah, and I guess that'll be it for today. Good conversation, everybody. And I'll see you next week.
Thank you, Professor.
Thank you,
Have a good
Professor.
day.
Thank you.
Have a good one.
Thank you.
Thank you, Professor. Have a good one.
Have a
Thank
good
you.
one.
Bye.
Bye,
Bye.
Professor. Have a good day.
Thank you, you too.